right, I would like to go ahead and call the meeting of Thursday, September 11th to order officially. Has the Kansas Open Meeting Act been submitted?
Yes, I can confirm that the packet was posted and the required notice was provided.
Thank you. Next up is roll call.
I will take roll. Board Member Herman.
Present.
Board Member Cates.
Present.
Board Member Kuhl.
Present.
Board Member Nelson. And Vice Chair Freeland.
Present.
So with 4 out of 5 members, we have a quorum and we can proceed with business.
All right, moving right along to approval of our minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from our August 28th meeting?
I move we approve the minutes for the August 28th meeting.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as is from August 28th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Approved. Moving on to new business, item 3.1, we have application CC 2517.
All right, and I will be presenting the staff report for this item. So application CC 25-17 was filed by Hutton on behalf of RL Lofts, requesting approval of a certificate of compatibility to allow the installation of 2 new ground signs adjacent to the respective entrances to the former Roosevelt and Lincoln school buildings. And the subject property is legally described as the school park in lots 6 through 10 on Mulberry Street between 7th and 8th Street in the original town, now city of Salina. And the address is 220 South 7th Street. So the Pioneer President's Place, PDD, consists of 2 separate apartment buildings that were formerly Roosevelt and Lincoln schools. These apartment buildings were converted from schools in 2005. The property was recently purchased, and the new owners are renovating and rebranding the apartments in order to put them back on the market. As part of the renovation project, the applicant is proposing to install 2 new ground signs located adjacent to the respective courtyard entrances to the Roosevelt and Lincoln school buildings. The proposed signs are 5 feet by 2 feet, so 10.4 square feet, and the proposed signs are constructed out of limestone with engraved letters reading RL Lofts Roosevelt and RL Lofts Lincoln, respectively. The bases to the proposed signs are constructed out of cast stone and veneer masonry, and a rendering is shown. Dustin has it pulled up on the screen for you. Because this property is located within the Business Improvement District, review and approval of the proposed exterior signs is required by the Design Review Board before a sign permit can be issued for the proposed ground signs. A public hearing has been scheduled before the Design Review Board to review the request for conformance with the design guidelines for downtown Salina. So on pages 2 and 3 of your staff report, you will find what the design guidelines have to say about signage, and we will get into more specific details in the staff analysis section. So on the screen, you will see the proposed renderings, and then Dustin, if you can scroll down a little. So so where Dustin's cursor is, that is the location of the proposed Roosevelt ground sign. And then on the other side, there is the same, roughly the same location for the proposed Lincoln ground sign. So they're both located on the interior entrances to the courtyard, and they, as shown on the map. Or on the site plan, excuse me. The applicant in this case is proposing to install 2 signs. The R3 district sign regulations allow up to 1 ground sign per zoning lot. However, as part of the Planned Development District R3 zoning, the applicant has requested to be allowed to install 2 ground signs. This request among other PDD amendments was recommended for approval 7-0 by the Planning Commission at their September 2nd meeting and will be heard by the City Commission at their September 22nd meeting. So the residential zone sign regulations state that you can have 1 sign but as part of the PDD, you can pick and request modifications, and so that request will be heard, and if approved and then approved by this board today, those signs could be located at this property. The R3 district sign regulations allow ground signs to be a maximum of 32 square feet. The proposed signs are 10.4 square feet and do not exceed the maximum sign area for ground signs. The proposed signs also do not exceed the maximum height of 8 feet, as they are 3 feet tall. And lastly, the signs in the residential district must maintain the same setback required for principal structures. And in this case, the setbacks for the setbacks for the buildings are unique due to the PDD zoning district. However, the setbacks of these signs far exceed the setbacks of the buildings and are plenty far from any residential streets. So the signs as proposed would conform with the standards and limitations of the R3 sign regulations. Ground signs, this is unique for the Design Review Board. So they are not typically found within the Business Improvement District, as most properties have 100% lot coverage and thus don't have room for a ground sign. And so the design guidelines don't necessarily talk about ground signs specifically. However, they do still provide guidance on signs. And we will get into that with our possible findings. But staff believes that the proposed ground signs are proportionate to and in scale with the existing buildings. Staff does not believe the size of the signs will dominate the overall facade of the building. Additionally, the signs are designed to be similar in material and color to the existing buildings. And finally, the proposed signs are not illuminated. Given all these factors, staff believes the proposed signs are consistent with the design guidelines, with the downtown design guidelines. Planning staff would note that the overall renovation project, including the proposed signs, was brought before the Salina Heritage Commission at a special meeting on yesterday, September 10th, for approval of a certificate of appropriateness, and the Heritage Commission did approve a certificate of appropriateness, noting that no historic characteristics were being changed or damaged as part of the renovation project. So in review of this project for compliance with the design guidelines, it appears to staff the following findings can be made to support approval of the proposed ground signs. 1, the proposed ground signs will be coordinated with the overall facade in both material and scale. The proposed 10 square foot ground signs will be proportional to the building so that it does not dominate the appearance of the building. The proposed ground signs will be subordinate to the overall building composition. The proposed signs will appear to be in scale with the facade and be to a pedestrian scale. The proposed signs will not cover or obscure any architectural features. The proposed signs will be non-illuminated. The proposed signs use colors and materials which are compatible with those on the front facades of the building. The proposed ground signs feature a simple design which is preferred. The proposed ground signs will help distinguish the entrance between the Roosevelt and Lincoln buildings, and the proposed signs conform with the sign regulations in the R3 zoning district. So following presentation of the staff report and any additional information presented at the meeting, the Design Review Board would have the following options in consideration of this application. 1, you could approve the application, finding that the proposed ground signs will conform to the design guidelines for downtown Salina. 2, you could approve the application subject to any conditions approved by a majority of the Design Review Board members. 3, you could postpone consideration of the application in order to gain further information. Or 4, you could deny the application as presented upon making findings for the reason of denial. And staff would recommend option number 2 with the following conditions of approval. 1, if there are any significant changes to the sign design or materials approved by the Design Review Board, these will be presented to the board's staff to determine whether additional review is required. And 2, a separate sign permit will need to be applied for and issued for all exterior signage. And the last note is just that the amendments to the existing PDD, including the request to have 2 signs, are subject to review and approval by the City Commission, and that request will be heard at their September 22nd meeting. And with that, staff's available for any questions, and the applicant is in the room to answer any questions as well.
Okay, thank you. Does the board have any questions for the staff or for the applicant? I do have one clarification question.
Yeah.
Is the lettering going to be painted for readability? I know it's a
I
limestone
believe, can you pull
material.
up the, Dustin, can you pull up the signs and zoom in? Says engraved letters, so the letters will be engraved into the limestone, and the applicant can talk a little more about those specific details. But
No, just curious if it was going to be darkened in any
oh,
or
I see.
painted
I
for
get what
readability
you're
from
saying.
a
I get what
distance.
you're saying. Yeah, I would. Well, and we can ask the applicant for more clarification. But
Yeah. That's my only question.
cool, awesome. Well, I think we can invite the applicant forward.
Great. With that, my name is Kristen Anderson. I'm an architect and design project manager for this project over at Hutton. And our goal here is essentially that if someone is in one of the parking lots, they can quickly identify on the campus where they're at, what building, what property, and the street address number. So being able to break these signs into 2 allowable signages would be able to help us do that. The question that has already been posed on high contrast, essentially of lettering, is that where your question is coming from?
Yes.
We are going to be doing that engraving, but I definitely do think that there is a benefit to doing the high contrast, so we can definitely, if that's a recommendation from this group, consider it as part of that.
Okay. Any questions? No other questions? Okay. Do I have a motion?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Is there anybody public?
Oh, yeah, do we have anybody on for public?
We do not
On
have
Zoom?
anyone on Zoom or in the room from the public for this item.
Okay. With that, can I get a motion from the board?
I move that we move forward with option 2 with the staff recommendations.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve option number 2. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So approved.
Cool. Thank you. And your action today authorizes staff to issue a sign permit. So this board has a 14-day protest period, which would actually fall after the city commission date. So following the action from you today and the end of the protest period, following city commission action, staff could issue a sign permit for the proposed signs. So, thank you.
All right. Well, that concludes our new business. So thank you for coming to the meeting today and presenting. Moving on to administrative items.
Yeah, so we have one administrative item for you today, and that is your annual business meeting or election of officers. So the first or second meeting in September is generally the annual business meeting for the Design Review Board and the time for election of new officers. The membership of the Design Review Board is currently at 5 members. There are 4 carryover members, Board Member Nelson, Board Member Herman, Board Member Cates, and Board Member Freeland, and 1 new board appointee in 2025, Board Member Cool. And the Design Review Board still has 3 vacancies. So 1 for a design professional, 2 for citizens at large, and staff is working with SDI to gather more expressions of interest to hopefully fill those vacancies as we move throughout the year. But the Design Review Board ordinance states that the board chair and vice chair shall be elected to serve a term of 1 year or until their successors are elected. No person shall be eligible to hold the office of chair or vice chair for more than 2 full consecutive 1-year terms. So Andrew Manley served as the Design Review Board chair last term and is no longer on the board, and Michael Freeland served as the vice chair and is eligible for another term. And so members who would be eligible to be elected to chair include John Nelson, Julie Cates, Michael Freeland, and Jessica Herman. And members who would be eligible for vice chair include the same 4. So after a year, so starting next year, Board Member Cool could be elected as a chair or vice chair. But at this time, one of the 4 carryover members could be elected. So we'll do 2 separate actions. So we will have a discussion and a motion in a second to elect a chair. We'll vote, and then we'll move on and do a vice chair. So you guys can discuss chair.
I move Michael Freeland be the chair of the board.
I second.
So we have a motion and a second for Mr. Michael Freeland to be the chair of the Design Review Board. Is there any further discussion? No, we don't have any members from the public on Zoom or in person. So all those in favor of Mr. Freeland being the chair, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. Mr. Freeland is the chair.
Congratulations.
Here we go.
And we would do the same. We would do the same thing for vice chair.
I move Jessica Herman be the vice chair of this board.
I knew that was coming.
I knew.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Ms. Herman to serve as vice chair. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 4-0. We have the vice chair, Ms. Herman, for the next year.
Thank you.
You're going to be
So
amazing.
congratulations and thank you. And that is all for our annual business meeting.
Okay, thanks so much. Here's to another year. Looks like since we don't have anybody from the public in the room, do we have any unfinished or other business as far as that goes?
We do not have any other business, and I don't believe we have a application. I don't believe we have. We'll be reaching out, but I don't think we have an application for the Design Review Board for the second meeting in September. So I believe your second meeting will be canceled for September due to lack of agenda items. So.
Okay. Well, with no public in the room for a public forum of any kind, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.